Do you ever pause just long enough to ask yourself, why is it that there's always so much to do? I'm always doing the things, and yet I'm never getting to the point where there's now time for me to focus on what matters the most. If that is you, you're probably stuck in the busy loop. It's a closed circle, and trying harder, trying to knock more stuff off of your to-do list, putting out more effort, learning to be more efficient, which can be great. But if you're stuck in this loop, all it's going to do is you're going to keep on doing exactly what you've been doing, but now you're doing it a little bit faster, which is not what you want. And the other problem with this is that when we're stuck in the busyness loop, it has us focusing on all those quick things, those one-time things, those 5-minute things that I'll quickly do it now and then I'll be done and then I can rest. When we're doing all of those little things, it has a way of causing the most important things to fall to the bottom day in and day out. And then decades later, you're wondering, why is it that you're not a lazy person. You're trying to get ahead, but nothing sorted itself out. And now you have all these wasted years where you weren't doing what you really wish that you had been doing, whether that is giving time to your kids, that was doing the work as a Christian woman that God called you to do, or just sitting down on the couch for 15 minutes without stressing that you were missing something big. Okay, if this sounds familiar, what you want to do is go bottoms up. We're going to take everything that has been falling to the bottom for far too long, and we're going to bring it up to the top, but we're going to do it in a very specific way. So keep watching to the end, because I have 5 points, because the thing is, this is mostly a mindset thing. Okay, so I've got 5 points to help you shift that mindset. The busy cycle, I know, as much as it seems like you have no choice and stuff has to happen and there really is no time, it's a mentality. It's a belief system. It's a way that you're thinking that is causing this you to be stuck in this loop. So I've got 5 points to make to help you shift your mentality, and then a story to drive it home, and then 3 questions for you to ask that you want to ask together to make sure that you're not just pushing harder while staying stuck in the busy cycle, but you're actually breaking out of it and bringing those most important things that have been falling to the bottom to the top of your life, your list, your schedule, everything. And if that sounds good, then keep watching to the end of this video, but also check out the link in the description below and grab my book, Guilt-Free Boundaries for Christian Women. Okay, so point number 1 is that when you are taking the things that keep falling to the bottom of the priorities, the things that you're working your butt off to try to create time for, we don't want to just look in a 24-hour period, because there are going to be multiple things that are they're big in importance. That doesn't mean they're a big time thing, but there will be multiple things that we want to be giving time to. And that doesn't mean that you have to be touching base with them within a 24-hour period. But usually over the course of a week, we're going to be doing something in that direction of that important thing. So that's why when we look at a week, it just helps us when we can kind of see in that 7 days that, okay, that thing that's really important to me, it's got the time that it needs on Thursday, so I don't have to stress about it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because it has the time that it needs there. So that's why we're doing a week. Point number 2, don't revamp your whole schedule. Okay, what you want to do, because I'm going to talk about this in a way where you could pick and tweak 10 different things. Okay, but that's often very overwhelming, and I don't even do that in my own life. Over the course of 10 weeks, I might make 10 different tweaks, and then those little tweaks and changes, they create a ton of momentum in the right direction. But right now, after you watch this video, please just pick one thing that you're wanting to change. Make it big enough that it's stretching, small enough that it is impossible not to do, because too much change just causes us to go back into habit mode where we're like, well, you know what, that sounded great, but it didn't work, and life is still too busy, and there's still too much to do, and everything that I care about is still out of reach. We've got to stop thinking that way and start to just say, you know what, I don't care how long it's going to take. I'm going to figure this out little by little. I'm going to stick with it. Point number 3, create margin, defined margin not just open time. This is not about just saying, okay, I'm just going to create more time to spend with my family or more time to do X, Y, Z. We want to actually create these like bubbles of time within your schedule that where they're very small and you know what you're doing within them and you're not letting the chaos and the busyness constantly crowd in. Just learn to protect those small times. It's like a seed that you're planting into your life and you're giving it a chance to grow. So we want to figure out what it is that you're wanting to give time to, and then what specifically does it look like, which we're going to talk more about later on. Point number 4, if you do not like the results that you're getting in your life, look at what you're putting in. Okay, if you're not happy with the output, look at your inputs, which you might be very just like your brain immediately goes to, this is not in my control. This is like life is happening and I don't like what I'm getting, but there's nothing that I can do about it. Okay. One of the things that I have learned over the years is that human beings they have far more control than they think that they do over just about every aspect of their life. So if you do not like the outcomes that you're getting in your life, like if you don't like how busy you are, then look at what you're doing to contribute to that busyness. If you don't like the fact that you don't have time to sit down, or you and your husband haven't gone on a date for 5 years, or your kids are always begging for your attention and you never have time, like undistracted time to give to them, or maybe there's something that God has put on your heart that you really want to act on, but there's never time to do it, then look at the choices that you're making and really begin to own those choices. There are absolutely things that you can't control, but don't worry about those things. Focus on what you can, and you'll find over time that you have far more control and far more ability to tweak and to change the things in your life than you currently realize. Okay, and lastly, point number 5. I think I said that I have 5 points, hopefully. Anyway, if I said I had 6, then I was wrong. I only have 5. Okay, so a lot of angst, and this is something like for a lot of Christians, we're asking God for peace, right? We're stressed out, we're feeling behind, we're feeling anxious, and then we ask Him for peace, but then we go on to do exactly what we've been doing. And so there is that piece of ask Him for peace, ask Him for help, ask Him for wisdom, ask Him to, because they're again, with those things that we can't control, it's very easy to get anxious about things that are outside of our control. So there's a huge piece with that where you have to walk that out with Jesus. But then there's also this piece of it that goes hand in hand with that if you are kind of like, if there's something that God has called you to do and you're not doing it, that's going to create anxiety. Or just angst. If you have kids and you're constantly, they're just always being tucked in between all the other things on your to-do list, that's going to create angst. If there are things that matter to you and they aren't happening, that's going to create a lot of angst. So when you begin to give time to the things that are important, that are the most important to you, there's a lot of peace that comes from that. Again, it's the things that fall to the bottom of our priorities list that just because we've been led to believe that life is just, there's too much to do and that important things are always just out of reach, which is not true. That is a mentality, that's a belief that a lot of us have, but it's not true. So I wasted, I from about 21 when I got married to about age 30, it took me 10 years of putting out tons of effort and missing out on a bunch of things simply because I didn't think that I had time for those things. And I was busy getting nowhere and saying no to the things that really mattered to me, saying no to just getting together and seeing my family, and amidst many other things. But it took about 10 years for me to wake up one day and realize, like, I am busy all the time and I have next to nothing to show for it. Like, and I'm not talking in, like what amazing thing that I did or am I doing that is impressive to other people. I'm like, I don't even have like quality relationships that I can point to that I'm like, it's not like I'm being busy doing like good things. I'm just busy doing things because I thought that there was always so much to do. And again, if that's you and you want help beyond this video, then grab Guilt-Free Boundaries in the description below this video. Okay, so story time. I want you to imagine yourself when you were a teenager, right? Maybe this might have been you, might not have been you, but let's say you're a teenager, and because this is like where we wanted. This is a beliefs thing again, right? I keep alluding to this, that this is more of a beliefs thing than a reality thing. It's just that our reality keeps on when we have this experience of everything good is always out of reach, everything that matters is always falling to the bottom. We become convinced that that's just how the world works and there's nothing we can do about it. But it's not true. Okay, please hear me. That's not true. And again, towards after I share the story, we're going to talk about the 3 questions that you need to ask together in order to actually bring those really important things that keep falling to the bottom up to the top. Okay, so imagine your teenage self where you get an allowance of $20 every week. Your parents take care of everything that you need and all your food, your clothing, like the necessities, that's taken care of. So your $20 is just for you to spend however you want. And now let's say, because I have no idea, I don't remember how much iPods were, but let's say you really want this $200 iPod. Like you really, really, really want it. And so you are determined to save up, but without fail, right? Like, because this is going to take 10 weeks for you to do, $20 a week. If you, like without fail, something comes up, whether your friends are going out for supper and you're going to go with them, or you're with your mom shopping and you see something that's on sale that you also really wanted. And so then you buy that thing. And then what happens is that the way this plays out is that you wanted to buy the iPod, like you really, really wanted it, but you weren't able to save up because you kept on spending that. And then it's kind of like the belief that gets formed with this and many other, like it's usually a pile of different things where we keep on having this repeated experience of everything that I want is just out of reach. It's kind of like, well, yeah, I can't have that. Or there's too much. There's too many things that have to happen, too many things that we need to put our money towards, there's too much little stuff that good stuff is not there. And this is really important for Christians to figure out and to identify, because we will then translate that to feeling like, well, God is always holding out on us, that this good thing could happen, but he's holding out on me, and so like if that is in your mentality, you might not be aware of it right now, but it's very important to challenge this way of thinking, because when we have this belief that something along the lines of everything good is always just out of reach, then we end up spending our $20 every 2 weeks. And so, if you had the wisdom to, or someone like sat you down, if you kept complaining about this and someone's like, okay, let's sit down, write down, what are those 10 things, those 10 $20 items that you spent money on? And there's a really good chance that you probably wouldn't remember what they were. But even if you did, right? If you wrote down those, like, okay, what are those 10 things that I spent my $20 on each week? Which now, because I spent that on those that $20 on those 10 things, I can't get the iPod I really wanted. Then if you compare those two, there's a good chance, like maybe there's a handful of those things that you still would have bought anyway. But if you could sit down and really look at your choices with your money, you probably would have chosen the iPod versus all those 10 things. And the thing is, like, if we pause and do this with our time, with our choices, with our life energy, we typically, if we make our list of what is most important to us, 5% left. Okay, I better hurry. Then the thing is that, well, if we compare that to like all the random stuff that we're doing, all those busy things, all those quick little things that we're trying to get out of the way, when you compare those two, of course, we're going to want to spend our time doing the most important things. But we become so convinced that, well, we've got to get all of this excess stuff done before we can give time to those other things. And that's where we've got to flip the script. Okay, so question number 1 that you're going to ask yourself is, what is a most important thing to you? Okay, so just write down one. And you'll do this, you keep on asking, like question number 1, you write down, it is really important for me to have a strong, healthy relationship with my spouse. So you write that down. And then you're going to ask question number 2 to that. What specifically does that look like this week? Okay, because again, this is not about just saying, oh, I'm just going to prioritize that. You need definition. You need to know, what is it? What are those bubbles of time that you're actually intentionally creating that you're going to put into your schedule, and where you're giving your spouse that focused time. This is not just saying, I'm randomly going to give more time to this, because if you randomly open up your time, random stuff is going to fill it. So you need to give definition. And then if it's not enough, you look at it for the next week. Either if it's not enough, if it's too much, then you tweak that for the following week. But give definition to the things that you're going to do. And then question number 3, what you're going to ask is knowing, like, what am I going to do knowing that this is going to get derailed, that I'm going to create these bubbles of time and they're going to be overridden, because the habits of busyness, that busy cycle that keeps you focusing on all the little random stuff, like filling up your time with all those quick little things, and which causes the most important things to fall to the bottom. That is a very strong habit loop. So you are going to get derailed. You are going to choose what's important to you and focus on it. But it's not like, getting derailed is not the problem. It's what you do when you get derailed. And so it could be something like, if I say I'm going to read my Bible for 7 minutes every morning, or I'm going to read one chapter every single morning, and if I get derailed and I miss 2 weeks, I'm just going to recognize it and say, you know what, I'm getting back on track. Like, give yourself the gift of shrinking down the time where you are derailed. Like, when you fall off track, just get back on. And so like what I do, I don't go back and I don't catch up. Not that that's a bad thing, but I don't catch up and then try to go over and above where now I'm like, I've got to read 70 minutes of the Bible. It's like, I'm just going to get back on track. Because if like, don't set yourself up to fail. Stick to the small things that you can actually stick to. Know that you're going to fall off track and just commit. Like, just asking yourself the question of like, what am I going to do when I get derailed? Then thinking through that and having a really simple solution can go miles for you down the road when you do get derailed. Because then it's like, there's part of your brain's going to remember, oh, right, we knew this was going to happen. I also know what to do. We just get back on track. So then you ask that what is the most important thing? What specifically does that look like for me to walk that out this week? And then you put that into your schedule. And then you ask the question of, when I get derailed, what am I going to do? And then once you ask those 3 questions, you go to, what's the next most important thing? And you might find that you have 5 to 10 things, or you only have 2 to 3 things. And you just, if you want, you can totally move the needle, or like add multiple things into your schedule. But like I said at the beginning, don't try to revamp your whole schedule. Just pick one thing this week that you're going to add in, and then practice protecting that time, because that is going to do more for you. Because if you can learn to practice something like 7 minutes of Bible reading, you're going to develop a lot of skill there. If you can just work that out, that's going to translate to something else. So next week, it's going to be that much easier in another area of your life. And then 2 weeks, it's going to be that much easier. So build the skill of creating this margin, these bubbles in your schedule where chaos and busyness is not allowed to enter. Keep on practicing that, and you're going to see a change, because this isn't about just trying harder and running faster. This is where we're doing the work of breaking the loop so that we're no longer living in it. And it's kind of like saying the most important stuff is coming to the top, because again, it's been falling to the bottom for far too long. We're going bottoms up, bringing it up to the top, and then letting the other stuff, all the chaos, all the busyness, it's going to find its place. But yeah, okay, I'm like worried that my phone's about to die. I don't know how, anyway, I'm normally better at catching the battery. But in case I also get cut off, remember to grab Guilt-Free Boundaries in the description below this video. And what else? Lastly, remember to read your Bible, get lost in the story of God, and play your part, because you were made for so much more.